Did maybe Campbell Safety Consulting can help you out if you win the lottery. You don't have ID, and then you give it to your lady friend to go claim. Darren, did you hear that story, Darian? Come on.
No, I didn't.
Okay, Matt,
So fill me in.
Guy in Winnipeg, your favorite city, best fans in the world on your Twitter account. Guy wins $5 million on 649. So they go to cash in the ticket at Western Canada Lottery. He doesn't have a valid ID, but his girlfriend does. So they say, get her to cash it, and then you guys can get the money right away. So they cash it. They put the money in her account, and then she disappears. She's with another guy. She ghosts him, won't return him. So now he's trying to sue her and Western Canada Lottery. Question. Wow. On, let's say, a big game like a Labor Day, did you ever give any of the game day staff, like, here's $20 or $50, go buy me some 50-50s and hang on to them, and then they cut them in case you won? No?
No, I didn't want to get involved with that. I wasn't even sure the legalities of that kind of stuff. So I didn't want to mix and match it. And you see how strict the league is when it comes to gambling. So I didn't want to even get myself involved with that.
Yeah, Sean Lemon, 50-50. Let's roll. Yeah. Speaking of that, Darian, when you were the Riders, a professional athlete, you hear about this, you see it in the NHL sometimes. Did you used to, who would you tip? You know, would you tip locker room guys from an opposing team, or who would you tip if it was on the road or at home?
No, we really didn't have to do much tipping. The guys, they're paid to do the job first and foremost, but I'm not sure what Gordy and the rest of the equipment staff did, how they were paid, if they had the other team helping. I was too banged up or too ready to get on the bus to get back to on that plane to even think about that kind of stuff. So I'm sure there's some stuff going on behind closed doors, though.
There was the Cuts, Riders, and around the league come down as we get ready for the regular season here. Maybe first off, let's stick with the CFL, and Maz and I have been talking about this. Some big names, Kadeem Carey, Walter Fletcher, Alex Hollins, to name a few. Some big names being cut. What do you make of it as a former player, a guy that's been through the trenches, when a big name guy does get released?
Well, first you have to look at the position, right? And when you look at the running back position and, Fletcher and Carey, a couple solid veteran running backs in our league and Grey Cup champions at that. But that's called a juice position. Running back is a juice position. You're always looking for a younger, cheaper guy with a little more juice, some more gas in the tank that can, take some of these runs and pretty much go the distance. And, that's just what happens at running back. If you get older, get a little long in the tooth, they're always looking to replace you and cheaper. And Carey and Fletcher were guys who probably were making in the low six figures. And if you can cut that in half with that salary cap, then you're definitely going to do that as a GM and as a front office.
Okay, so on the heels of that, now they're free agents, and teams are going to be kicking tires for sure. Will they stay firm on their number, or will they maybe take a haircut to go play somewhere?
It just depends on where you are in life. I mean, if you feel like you're okay financially, then you wouldn't go out there and risk your health for minimum wage. And it just depends on what these guys feel like they have left in the tank. I think that from what they showed last year, they still have plenty of football left in them. I just think it's a situational thing with both clubs and deciding to go younger and getting a little more juice. But I think it'll be a couple weeks. Teams are now going to see what they have, see if it's worth going and signing a veteran guy. And, I'm sure at this point, the GMs, they'll be in touch with them, see what their number is moving forward. And then, depending on the depth chart or the injury situations moving forward, they may get a call.
At any point in your career, since you were the guy that was going to lead the team to the promised land, you ever involved with, hey, these two guys are kind of neck and neck. What do you think? Should stay, should go? Did they ever ask for your input?
No, I didn't want to be put in that situation, man, because you end up developing, real life relationships with these guys. You're in training camp, blood, sweat, and tears. You're on the field. And, my heart just couldn't take having to make a decision on a guy's livelihood. I just couldn't take that as a player. I leave that up to the coaches. Now, maybe if a coach came and asked me, who would you rather have in a big time role, a guy that is going to contribute. That's a little bit different. But when it comes to making the roster and and not making the roster, I just don't have the heart to be in that type of decision as a player. Now, if I'm in the front office, that's a little bit different. But as a player, you have a totally different relationship with the guys in the locker room with you.
How does it work as a player? Because I've always been curious, and maybe a lot of fans are. So cuts had to be made by 10 p.m. on Saturday. You played on Friday. Does everybody show up on Saturday and like sit around and like basically like coach wants to see you? Like how does it work? Or how did it work when you were playing?
Yep. So coach will basically tell you right after the last play of the preseason game, so stay by your phone, stay in your room, don't go too far away. That goes for veterans, the entire team. Just make sure you're close by, have your playbook on hand. You just never know, man. And the guy that comes and gets you, he's called the Reaper, right? He's called the Grim Reaper.
Oof.
You know who he is. You know if he's coming close, guys' hands start getting a little sweaty, and you just don't know what's going to happen. So, guys are, you're told to stay by your phone, stay alert, and make sure you're ready if you get that call.
Oh, heebie-jeebies.
Yeah, it's tough, man. It's tough business.
Was there in your long career, was there ever a time where one of your really close buddies got cut that you can go back to and you remember that moment and emotional?
For sure. I mean, if you think back to our two Grey Cup runs in 2009 and 2010, going into 11 and 12 and 13, we started getting rid of some guys that just dear friends of mine. And not only that, just Hall of Fame guys and Plaza of Honor guys, in my opinion, and Lance Frazier. That was a tough call to see him go. Tad Cornegay, it was tough to see him go. Wes Cates, for sure. Seeing Wes leave was definitely tough. And, I'm sure there are a lot of other, my guy, Luke Mullender, just seeing that happen to Luke and that it's just devastating. You build so much, bonds with these guys, man, and it's going to happen, but when it happens to the guys you're close to, it's devastating.
I could see Luke tearing someone a new one when he gets cut. No.
Yeah.
I could see him flipping the script in the whole room.
Yeah, I know. It was tough. It was tough. Him and his wife, they were getting a lot closer at the time because Luke was a roommate of mine, right? So just seeing the bond that he was developing with his wife, getting entrenched into the community, it was just tough to see him go.
If we go to the game on Friday night, one of the things that I wanted to see, and you brought this up in January, that the new version of the Saskatchewan Roughriders need to score early and score a lot and run up the score and let the defense sort it out. Kind of like Winnipeg does. They want to pounce on you and get on you. So Friday, I was most interested that when the Bombers get close to the red zone or in the red zone, what's the play call? Are they going aggressive to get a touchdown? And they did twice, once with Streveler and then once with Collaros. And then on the flip side, how are we attacking the red zone? And on that first drive, we threw down to Mayer. It was incomplete. When we go touchdown. The Bombers are doing what the Bombers do. And the Riders didn't. As a quarterback, don't you always want to at least try and put it in the end zone and then have it see what comes? There's no glory in throwing to the 10 and getting a first down.
I know, but a lot of that comes down to just taking what the defense gives you. And we talked about this, in Labor Day going into the playoffs last year, Winnipeg just plays such a soft defense and gives you so much cushion down there that they pretty much, I've been around Richie Hall forever and just going against that style of defense, and they just make you take what's in front of you. They rally and they make tackles, and like you said, they go out, they try to jump ahead, and then they just make you take everything in front of you. They try not to give up the big play. That's just their style of play, and you see the aggressive style that they have. Even if they see a one-on-one situation, they're going to throw it up. If you get a PI, you now advance the ball, pretty much guaranteed touchdown situation in those cases. So it's just good strategy, good coaching, and you have to look at Coach O'Shea. He's one of the best in the biz, and he always is thinking situational football and trying to get his team in situations where you can get easy points.
That's how, again, as a longtime Patriots fan back in the dynasty, in the run, that's how it was: bend but don't break. And they would let teams nickel and dime and get down. You'd sit there frustrated as a Patriot fan. And then when we know in the NFL, the end zones aren't a parking lot. It's tight. Right. So teams would get down there and they would make plays. And like you said, situational football, right? We'll give them the dumps, and then we'll suffocate it. And then in an exhibition game like that, Riders would probably be okay with that too, Darian, because you're finding out a lot about your guys.
Exactly. You're seeing if guys at the quarterback position will take the easy plays. You're seeing if your defenders or if your receivers can break tackles. You're seeing if your running backs can get you tough yards. Defensively, you're seeing who can tackle, you need these situations because training camp in the CFL is not very physical. You're not going to get a chance to be in every single situation at practice. So I think it was good for both teams to kind of be in this type of game where you need to be in situational football and practice these things to get ready for live action.
In the first hour of the show, we were talking about how there was a lot of Rider fans on Twitter before the game. Oh, Chris Streveler's starting. Basically it's a free spot on the bingo card. It wasn't. He looked good. He's a runner, not a passer. He's a professional for a reason. I thought he played incredibly well. He didn't have all of his guys either, but what he did have, he made look very good. Your thoughts on how Streveler played?
Yeah. Look, sometimes, an injury can kind of be a blessing, especially to a guy who was more so of a runner, used his physicality to make plays. And now when you take away some of his running ability, and now in the offseason, his training is more throwing based. It's more, mechanical. It's more, I can focus on the things now that I need to work on because, I don't have my legs. I can't run. I can't lift. I can't do the things that I used to do. Now I have to work on my throwing. And you can see that he's been putting in the time and putting in the effort to get better with his passing. And I think he's just looking at the opportunity with Zach Caleros just winding down. Who knows how many years he has left. This is an opportunity for Streer to get in there and show that he has the ability to be a starter in this league. So he's off to a great start with the way he took the team up and down the field. And we'll see how this season goes. Zach has been a little beat up the past couple years, and we'll see. I think Streveler is going to get some starts this year as well, and have an opportunity to put the ball in the air.
What's your take on Thursday? Maybe a little bit of a short turnaround here. Thursday, season opener, league opener for the Riders at home.
I'm excited, and I'm sure they are too. This is what you've been waiting on. This veteran group has been just, ready to go. And this is a perfect opportunity. You wish you had the earlier game. You don't want to wait till, later in the weekend to get it on. You're ready to strap the pads on now. So I'm looking forward to it. I want to see this pass rush. I want to see Carney and Rose and, Ray and these guys, just see what they can do. We haven't had a 12 to 15 sack guy across the league in a while. So I think Jeremy did a great job of just getting a group of pass rushers together, some veteran guys who know the league, and I want to see them get after the quarterback this year.
Drew Brown's second year starting in Ottawa. Everybody's said, and you would know him, that Bob Dice is one of the best humans ever, not only in football, but just ever. Everyone is always kind of quietly rooting for Ottawa to turn it around and have a good year. I mean, there's been some lean years. Do you think potentially this could be a year that you see a Red Blacks breakout where they've got the talent, they got a Geno Lewis now, they've spent the money in free agency, they've built the roster, now they need wins. They got to put it all together. Is this the year?
I think so. I think their free agent signings were great. Adding Geno Lewis, a down the field threat, is something Drew Brown needed. You still have Addison working the underneath throws for them. And a quiet signing that no one talks about is William Stanback. I mean, he's a slugger type of running back who can just change the attitude of this Ottawa Red Blacks team. He's a veteran guy, but he's a bruiser, and you're going to need that in the league. So quietly, I think they're putting together a great roster, and I think they could make some noise. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they came into Saskatchewan and won. I don't think they will, but it wouldn't surprise me because I think they're quietly putting together a great team.
Ooh, we are playing SaskTel Pick the Score, Darian, today. It's the first day for SaskTel.
He has to pick.
So Colson's got his black. Colson's got his black book out. What's your Pick the Score for this Thursday game?
Yeah, I just think this environment will be too much for Drew Brown and that red-black team. I think that they'll make some plays, but the Riders will just be too good. They're just ready to get back out there and show and kind of pick up where they left from last year and just show that they're one of the top teams in the league. So I'm going to go 31-21 Riders. I don't think it'll be as close as I'm not sure what the spread is. I don't check out the sports book too much, but I think the Riders are.
You got an old school guy. The guy I want to meet. Listen, that guy.
Yeah, Darian doesn't play anymore. He can Sean Lemon this 9 ways till Thursday. All right, but putting in prop bets on if Corey Mace ends up being the punter that he was joking around in the post game. Apparently, we don't have a punter. We got a practice roster guy and a cut guy, and nobody on the roster.
No,
Joe Coach will be.
I mean, when your quarterback's clipping at 75-80%, I'm sure you don't need to punt too much. So
they're gonna pull them off, and then someone's going on to the one game injured reserve, so they get a paycheck, and it's all good. Okay, that's a good. I wanted to ask you that because who did he say? Samuel Emelis is a good punter.
Yeah, can punt.
He can punt them. Back in your day, Darian, like if things got hairy where we're down a guy, who would have been the guy to punt or kick in a pinch for those Rider great teams that you're a part of?
Dress was the guy. We actually practiced these situations. I'm not sure if it was Chris Milo or Luka Kanji went down at some point and Dress was forced into action. We may have to go back and look in the archives for that to see if he can get a stat, if he has a stat for a punt. I'm not sure, but Dress was our guy.
Wow. I still remember in the 2009 Grey Cup that Louis Sakota, I think it was late in the game, just booted an absolute beauty and flipped the field. I'm like, yes, there's no way we can lose. This Grey Cup is ours. How did that end up turning out? I don't remember. I've blocked it out. There's a lot of things
about that game too.
I know, me too.
Did we win that one?
But I don't know. But Louis Sakota booted the you-know-what out of the ball. And I'm yes, it is ours. There's no way we're losing this.
Who did we interview that's now a play-by-play guy with some sport? I think in Montreal, and he was working for the CFL in that game.
Yeah, he was
had to hand out the hats.
An intern or something. Yeah,
he had to hand out the hats. So we started handing the hats out to the Riders, and then it was like, whoop, nope. Pick those back up. We're sending these overseas. Sorry, Darian.
He was the hat reaper that day to be like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm gonna need that. No, you just keep that. That's fine. I'm gonna back away. Just ditch it and just run.
Yeah. Okay. So we got your prediction. We locked it in for SaskTel Pick the Score. Again, as always, thanks, Darian. Next Monday, we will get to recap game number 1.
Darian, if you win the $200 gift card from SaskTel, who are you giving it to on the show?
Hey,
there's me,
don't give
Barney,
it to your
Colson,
girlfriend or wife. Learn from that guy in Winnipeg.
Oh, we can foreway that, man. All you guys get a piece.
Yes. I just want $50 in quarters to use a pay phone.
Yeah, burner phones for everybody.
Nice.
Right on. See you later, Darren.
All right, guys. Take care.